The Coffee Hour. Welcome to Coffee with our morning host. We broadcast a host of programs like current topics, newspaper headlines, and music on Radio Sri Lanka. Tune in every weekday from 7 to 8 a.m.
It is indeed with immense pleasure that we cordially welcome Her Excellency Bonnie Horbach, the Ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to Sri Lanka since 2022. Previously, Her Excellency has served as the Dutch Ambassador in Lithuania from 2018 to 2022, focusing on European integration and security issues. Prior to this, she was a Consul General in Cape Town, South Africa, head of the Recruitment Department of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and spokesperson to the Minister of European Affairs. The Kingdom of the Netherlands' official website for Sri Lanka highlights our countries inspire one another and work together to solve challenges. Whether you are in government, business or academia, our dedicated team is ready to connect. A wonderful sentiment indeed, Your Excellency, and thank you so much for taking time off your busy schedule to be with us here and to connect with us.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to sit here and have a talk with you.
It is really a pleasure to welcome you to Asia's oldest radio station and the second oldest in the world. Thank you once again. Your Excellency, can you please talk to us a bit about the bilateral relations between our two nations?
Well, our relations go back a long time. I think the Dutch first came to Sri Lanka in the early 1600s. And we actually occupied part of the island for a little while, I think 150 years before the Brits took over. And but our relations have ever since been very strong. We connect very easily with Sri Lanka because we're both small countries. We both have the tendency to look outside of our borders for relationships. And I think that connects our two nations.
Wonderful, Your Excellency, and you being here is a mark of connection as well.
Thank you. Yeah.
And as you know, Sri Lanka has been facing significant economic challenges and is currently getting through this as well. If you could talk to us a bit about how the Kingdom of the Netherlands is assisting our country in overcoming these difficulties.
Yeah. We look, of course, at the economic and financial situation of Sri Lanka, and we really empathize with the people of Sri Lanka. It is a very, very hard time for Sri Lanka. But we also see that some of the steps that are being taken might actually make Sri Lanka better, more equipped for the future. We really focus on transparency, the ease of doing business, ensuring that there is a rule of law that companies can rely on so that they can come and invest in Sri Lanka. So maybe this is a very hard period for Sri Lankans, but maybe Sri Lanka itself will come out of this hard period more equipped to face the challenges of the future. And we are there to help Sri Lanka in doing so. We, of course, are part of the EU. We hope we have strong relations as the EU with Sri Lanka to allow Sri Lanka to export their products to the EU. And we set certain standards. And Sri Lanka and the way Sri Lanka is doing business is actually very good to export the Sri Lankan products to the European market. So in that way, we try to support Sri Lanka through this whole period. But indeed, it is, and I see, and I also hear from my local staff, it is a really hard period for the Sri Lankan people. So I hope they are resilient enough to get through it.
Thank you, Excellency. I think we are resilient and we will be resilient. And thank you for your inspiration as well.
Thank you.
What steps in your diplomatic expertise and your wealth of experience, what steps do you think can be further taken to ensure sustainable economic recovery?
I think what Sri Lanka is doing very well at the moment is really looking at how is the economy organized and what is needed for Sri Lanka to open up its economy in a sustainable way, so that they benefit from international trade without hurting its own economy. For that you need, I think, a reliable system, a reliable rule of law. You need ease of doing business. You need transparency, good governance, and anti-corruption. And those, I think, are also steps that IMF is focusing on. And we support that very much because we think that at the end of the day, we would like Sri Lanka to have an economy that can face the challenges of the future. In the Netherlands, we really we really tell our companies, if they go and invest in another country, that they should adhere to the standards that we adhere to in the Netherlands. So we don't like corruption. We don't like that people are paid too little money. And so if our companies do that abroad, they will actually be liable in the Netherlands. So for our companies to go and invest in Sri Lanka, the system needs to be right. And I think Sri Lanka is taking the right steps to allow companies from the Netherlands to come here, invest, and really work together with Sri Lankan companies and with Sri Lankan people to make the best for Sri Lanka, but also for the Netherlands.
Thank you, Excellency. And if I may add on to what you said, you are always on time as well.
Yes, that's true.
In addition to all those positive qualities that you highlighted.
Thank you.
So, Your Excellency, the Indian Ocean region is witnessing a lot of geopolitical shifts at the moment. In your opinion, how can the Netherlands and Sri Lanka collaborate to ensure regional stability and security?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And of course, our relations go back a long time. And Sri Lanka has always had a central role in the Indian Ocean. And that's why it attracted also many countries from outside. And being at this crossroads of interests and trade routes, it makes you important, but also vulnerable. And the only way to protect you and protect Sri Lanka and its position in the Indian Ocean is by ensuring that there is an international law-based order. And that's something that the Dutch really stand for. With Hugo de Groot and other lawyers in the past, we aim to have a free navigation possibilities for our trade, and we don't want any one country to dominate these trade routes. So in that way, we would like to be partners of Sri Lanka and ensuring that the maritime safety is secured.
Your Excellency, as we know, there is now a growing Sri Lankan diaspora in the Kingdom of the Netherlands, be it students, be it those working, or even tourists, Sri Lankans going to the Kingdom of the Netherlands. What are the efforts taken to strengthen connections between our two communities?
I believe that wherever you're based, even if it's only for a small time, that country will connect to your heart a little bit. So the fact that I am here, I will always have a little bit of Sri Lanka in me, taking it with me wherever I go. And the same goes for Sri Lankans that are in the Netherlands. They become the best ambassadors for the Netherlands. So I really want to promote these people-to-people contacts, the exchange of students, and hopefully also students coming to Sri Lanka, Dutch students coming to Sri Lanka, because I know when they return, they take a little bit of the Netherlands back to Sri Lanka with them. And I've met so many people already in this country that tell me, I studied in Delft, or I studied in Rotterdam, or I went to, I've now somebody in my staff who did his master thesis at the University of Amsterdam. And those people are part of my Dutch family. And hopefully I will become a little bit part of the Sri Lankan family. When I go away and I go to another country, I will always take my experiences with me. And so I really promote Sri Lanka also amongst Dutch tourists. Come and experience the hospitality, the beauty, the culture of this island, because it has it all. It has the mountains, it has the sea, it has the beautiful forts, but also the ancient culture that we might forget sometimes about. So it's to me, Sri Lanka is one of those places, those treasures that I hope people will discover and really keep close to their hearts.
Thank you, Excellency. And through your answer, I'm reminded that you strongly believe in cultural exchange.
That's true.
And intercultural communication.
Yeah.
What steps can we further take to promote this cultural exchange and mutual understanding between the Dutch and the Sri Lankan?
I think for too long our history has been told from one perspective. And I think what the Netherlands is realizing more and more is that we have left out a huge part of the picture. And slowly but surely we are coloring it in with the expertise and the knowledge and the interaction of the people that also are part of that history. And I find that beautiful. I studied history myself, and often people think it's very boring because history doesn't change. But for me, history constantly changes because our perspectives change. And I think that cultural exchange of history, of design, of artists, of journalists, help us understand the world a little bit better and help us also see the world through somebody else's eyes. Because if we only stand in our own position and never are able to look at through the perspective of somebody else, we limit ourselves. And we also tend to then be in different positions and never able to really touch each other and really connect. And I think that's the beauty of art and cultural exchange. It allows us to connect through the arts, through history, through culture, and through the stories of other people.
Through this important aspect of connection, in December, 6 culturally significant artifacts were returned to Sri Lanka.
Yeah, for me, and it still is, it was a very emotional process. It moved me deeply. So what we did was we had 6 objects in our Rijksmuseum, our national museum in the Netherlands, that we knew that were stolen from Sri Lanka during the colonial times. And finally, the Dutch government adopted a policy that obligated the Netherlands to bring back artifacts that were stolen during the colonial times back to their original country. And these were the first 6 objects that we brought back. Why was it emotional to me? Because you see that these objects belong here. This is where their home is. And after 400 years, finally, they were back home. And I still am emotional when I think about it because it took us too long. But hopefully it's never too late to undo the injustices of the past. And hopefully by doing so and continuing on the path of bringing back artifacts that were stolen from Sri Lanka and other places, we show the world, we show our children, and we show Sri Lanka that we want to strive for a just and equal relationship. And we are willing to look critically at ourselves and our history and really work towards a relationship that will strengthen the ties between our countries.
Thank you, Excellency. And on a lighter note, how has your experience in Sri Lanka been thus far?
Oh, I love it. I love
Wonderful.
it. Yeah, I know. I especially love driving in Sri Lanka.
You do, Your
Yeah,
Excellency.
yeah, because it's like a live video game. Different tuk-tuks, and they never really go where you want them to go or where you think they go. If they have the different indicators on, you think they will go left, but they will go right. So it's a live video game which I really enjoy.
That's really wonderful to hear, Your Excellency.
Yeah.
And it has been such a pleasure talking to you this morning here, Your Excellency. Thank you so much for taking time off your busy schedule to be with us here. And before you go, your final message to the people of Sri Lanka and to the people of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in Sri Lanka listening, and to those listening in the Netherlands via the web.
Well, my final message is we are here to connect with Sri Lanka. We are here to listen to what Sri Lanka wants and to put the local needs and local demand first, and to work together to find solutions for the challenges that Sri Lanka is facing.
Thank you once again, Your Excellency, for taking time off your busy schedule to be with us here. And we end our program. We were in conversation with Her Excellency Bonnie Horbach, the Ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to Sri Lanka since 2022. Thank you once again.
Thank you.